great conversation that we've entitled Transmute, Transform, and Heal. I am a nurse by training, education, and passion, nursing leader, and really wanting to transform how we care for the birthing community, especially the Black birthing community. And I'm going to turn it over to my lovely accomplice for the day so that she can introduce herself to the team.
Thank you, Rose. I am Domiana. I am a retired professional basketball player turned two-time best-selling author, somatic healer, international speaker, yoga instructor, like all things holistic health, like that is me. I pretty much help busy moms, birthing women, to equip them with the tools to self-heal, regulate their emotions, break these cycles, and just manifest the life that they love, honestly. A lot of healing goes into play when you choose to go on this journey of motherhood, wherever you are in the spectrum of motherhood, whether you are trying, whether you have already conceived, whether you're pregnant, miscarried, wherever you're at in your journey, whether you are, a mother with a baby, wherever you are in that spectrum of motherhood, and you're doing it consciously and connected, you are going to come across parts of yourself that need to be healed and things that you want to heal and work on. So that's where my different, somatic healing modalities come into play. And we can talk about what that actually means later. And just to help you unlock stagnant energy, right? Create massive transformation in your life, tap into your intuition, harness your power, all of these things that, it's living within you. Just got to awaken it somehow and activate it. So.
Yeah, that sounds really great. And we're going to be totally informal today and welcome folks to ask questions in the chat as well as we start. So as we think of transmute, transform, and heal, was that your choosing or was that my partner's choosing in the title? Because it's not words we use all the time, especially transmute.
Yeah. So Marie, actually, she loved that. I have a healing community, like a virtual healing community, and that is kind of like the tagline for my community online. It's like transmute, transform, heal, because that's what we do. Transmute this energy, right? Transmute these emotions that have been weighing on you. Transmute stuff that no longer is serving you. Transmute that, right? Change that up. So that creates transformation in your life. You automatically are going to be transformed into somebody different. A new version of yourself, a version that you like more, your favorite version of yourself is what I like to call it, not your highest self, because you already are you and it's a good version of you. Let's tap into your best, your most favorite self, right? Like which one do you like the best? And then from there you heal. It's just a residual effect, right? Automatically from transmuting these emotions and this energy, you're going to transform and you're going to heal. It's this beautiful process that I love to facilitate.
I love that. And it sounds incredibly empowering. I think we're accustomed to seeking help to transmute. But when you say it's something that, we just need to tap into, that we have the ability within ourselves, I think that's extremely empowering. And that's a shift from us owning our body and the energy around us to us thinking that we need permission from whether it's from the energy around us or those around us who we deem have the power to help us. So that's a very different way of thinking about it. I think it's really empowering.
Yeah, that's what I'm all about. Empowering you to empower yourself.
Yeah.
So
That's great. So as a nurse working in the healthcare system in the United States, for the most part, we defer to the medical model, right? Even though the medical model has failed us, failed us miserably. I'll be even more specific as you think about the birthing community. We have a really high rate of maternal mortality with about 700 women dying every year from pregnancy-related causes, and 60% of that is preventable. It's the shame of our healthcare system. Even with that information, even with the outcomes that we have, we tend to defer to the medical model. So if something's wrong with my body, let's seek the medical model, let's go to a provider who will prescribe some medication, maybe prescribe therapy. How do we shift our thinking from the medical model being the answer to what's happening within our bodies to thinking a little bit more globally? How would you advise someone who is saying, oh, I need to go talk to my doctor. I've been experiencing this for a couple of weeks.
Yeah. First and foremost, I would ask, what do you feel in your body, right? What are the indicators that your body is speaking to you? It's communicating to you. Whether you choose to listen to it or not, it's up to you. I know a lot of times, like women, when they're birthing and some complications happen, like beforehand, they had this inclining, this hunch, this feeling that something was wrong or off. They might have spoke up to the provider. Maybe they were dismissed. Maybe they just kind of brushed him off or whatever. And they knew, right? So I want to just challenge anyone who feels like they need to go to the provider first, is just to tap in, tune into your body. I'm not saying don't go to the doctor, don't go to your healthcare providers. I'm just saying make sure that you're clear on what you're feeling, what you're experiencing, and you are wiser than you give yourself credit for. You know what's up with your body, what feels good, what feels bad, what feels off, what feels like, okay, this feels right. You know these things. So tapping in to your intuition, being able to trust yourself and trust your body, and then speaking up and like asserting yourself with confidence. If you know something's off, right? Like advocating for yourself and being confident in that. Because if you go to someone and you say, well, it feels kind of weird, or I'm just a little ache and pain here, oh, that's normal. But like if you are confident and like, no, this is not right, something is off, it's unfortunate we have to assert ourselves that way. We can't just say it one time and have it be believed and looked more into, but really being confident in your ability to be in tune with yourself.
It sounds great. How would you walk somebody through doing that? We can even take it away from the birthing community, or even keep it in the birthing community. Let's say that I had my baby 6 weeks ago, maybe even 6 months ago, and I am feeling exhausted and I have a headache every day. My hands and my legs are still way puffy. This is how I'm feeling. How would you guide me or instruct me to tap into my body? If I, just as an example, for those of us who haven't been successful in tapping into our bodies and our emotions, what would that look like?
I would say just close your eyes for a moment, okay? So really go ahead, close your eyes.
Okay.
Everyone, close your eyes.
Everyone close your eyes. Okay.
Close your eyes. All right, and just begin to draw attention towards your breath. Placing a hand over your heart, maybe a hand over your womb space. This is your creative powerhouse. This is where all creation stems from. Everything is here. Taking a big, deep inhale and exhale. Mentally pressing pause on the outside world, allowing yourself to arrive back into your body. And I know you're being pulled in a million different directions. There's so much stress going on around you. And you're just thinking, and overthinking about everything. I challenge you to breathe and drop into your body. Taking a big, deep inhale through the nose, holding it at the top for just a moment, and exhale, releasing, letting it go. And while your eyes are sealed shut, rub the palms of your hands together like you're starting a fire, igniting that deep wisdom that is embedded in your bones and in your blood, igniting the energy that has been stagnant, that lives inside of you, igniting your power that has been lying dormant. Placing the hands and the palms over your face as you inhale, Exhale as you drag your fingertips down your eyebrows, eyes, cheeks, jaw, chin, throat, heart. Taking a big deep breath here while your hands are over your heart. Exhale, release. Send love to the rest of your body, rubbing the hands over other body parts, giving extra love again to that womb space, that creative powerhouse and center. And when you're done loving on yourself, open up your eyes. And then I'd ask you a whole bunch of different questions, right? Like, how are you feeling? Specifically, where in your body on a scale of 1 to 10, how intense is that pain or discomfort? You know, what came up for you while you were dropping in? I call them a drop in meditation, just to drop into your body, you know?
I love it.
And from there, we would do different somatic modalities to pinpoint where this discomfort is stemming from. Like, what is the root cause of this? Because sometimes, a lot of times, your trauma that's stored in your body, right? Trauma is stored in your body. It causes physical ailments, physical dis-ease in your body, right? Emotions, you can look up all the peer-reviewed articles and all the science backing behind this. It's real, right? We know stress can kill you. We know stress causes implications. We know that. But to actually notice that, okay, wait, I am holding on to this heavy thing that happened to me 20 years ago. I need to actually deal with this. That's how we got to transmute that energy, right? Transmute that experience, make that a shift so that you can actually release it and you can actually receive what is actually for you, because that no longer serves you, that experience, right? Those emotions that are associated with that experience, that stress response, we can change that on a cellular level. We can change that response so that your subconscious doesn't have to go on that cycle, that old cycle that it was on before, you know? And that's why somatic healing is so powerful. Somatic experiencing, these different modalities like EFT tapping and the breath work and just meditation, like all these different things can really help you. And I can explain what somatic means more too, because I've used it a bajillion times. Would that be helpful?
That would be super helpful.
Okay. So somatic just basically means relating to the body, right? So the body is the foundational point for healing. It is. Trauma is stored in the body. Cut out the middleman. We could do all the mindset shifting in the world. It will work eventually, but getting your body on board, pinpointing and targeting your body is going to get you faster results, more potent results, a lot easier. You don't have to think your way out of being triggered, which is, you've been triggered before, right? That's pretty hard when you're in a triggered state to think your way from being triggered.
Right.
That really doesn't really work too much. Once you can calm yourself down, right? Soothe your nervous system, activate a different part, that parasympathetic nervous system, get that firing on so that you can actually relax, rest, repose, versus this like fight or flight, stressed, tense, tight nervous system that's on, right? And when that's on, this different part of your brain, you don't have access to different parts of your brain, that logical, that rationale, like that. You're just shut off to possibilities. You only see tunnel vision, right? Like what's right in front of you, which is that triggering moment, that emotional response from that trigger, all that you can see. So by using somatic healing and somatic modalities, you can leverage that, your body, and you can actually alter your neural pathways. And those neural pathways are just different neurons that are connected together. And it's how you process information that you receive. So you're actually able to alter your stress response because you're creating new neural pathways, right? Your neural pathways are your memories. They allow you to learn. They, you know, how you experience different emotions and sensations and feelings. Like those are all your neural pathways firing. And there are certain patterns that they're accustomed to firing, right? There's a certain way that they fire. So by somatic modalities, you can actually alter and create new neural pathways. So you can create new emotional responses, new stress responses, right? Which ultimately makes a new reality. right? You get to create a whole new reality, a whole new outlook on life, a whole new experience because you are targeting your body and using somatic work, right?
And that sounds, I don't want to say easy, it sounds so simplistic.
It's simple, right? It's not easy, but it's simple.
Right.
And when you're consistent and when we like attack this and pinpoint, once you pinpoint that thread, it's like this common thread that's tying everything together. Once you can kind of pull that thread out, everything unravels. And it's like, oh, that's what it was. It's from when I was 7 years old, when whatever, X, Y, and Z happened, like it's so simple. Yet sometimes you can't do it yourself sometimes because you have to kind of take yourself out of it, see things from a different perspective.
Yeah. I remember reading an article years and years ago about gratitude. And the article was saying that if you would every day, right before you go to sleep, think about 3 things that you're grateful for. You can say it out loud, you can journal it, or do both, journal it for 30 days, that it actually starts changing the neural pathways of your brain, and it releases all this positive energy. And I'm such a believer in always looking for, healthy ways to leverage my body. And I remember being like amazed. I'm like, wow, just by doing this act, I can really shift the way that I think and how I perceive things just by being intentionally focused on gratitude. I think that's fascinating because I'd much rather do that for 30 days or even longer than pop a pill, get a prescription, and have a medication with side effects and still not feel the
Like
sense of wholeness that I'm looking for.
yeah, that's another really good point that you bring up too, right? About this gratitude, this shift from lack and scarcity, right? Instead of focusing on all the things that you don't have, the things that are going wrong, things that are just bad in your life, versus finding just a few things that are going right. Because this is where your brain comes into play. I know it talks a lot about your body and how your body's doing most of the work with the somatic healing, which is so true. But whenever you shift and try to find something that you're grateful for, your brain is looking for evidence to prove your thoughts, right? So whenever you're thinking like, man, this person messed up, they did this wrong, you're going to notice more of the things that are going wrong.
Right.
Because your brain is it's finding evidence to believe what you already believe.
The words you said, right.
But if you just make that simple shift, I didn't say easy, but that simple shift, and sometimes you need to use your body to make that shift so that your brain can actually believe that, then notice, okay, right? Let's say, for example, your partner's not super supportive during your pregnancy the way that you need them to show up, right? That's a big one. But you notice like, okay, he ordered me onion rings, right? Something simple, like,
Right.
okay, he actually asked me how I was doing today. All right, he
took out the trash.
the trash. I swear, yes, took out the trash. It's just something simple. Maybe it didn't have to do anything with you and like pregnancy in your body or whatever it is, but noticing those 3 things, you'd be like, oh, okay. And then you'll notice more of what he is doing versus what he's not doing, what he's forgetting, where he's falling short. It's a huge, it's powerful.
It really is powerful. I think about the concept of appreciative inquiry, which I love. Appreciative inquiry. One of the tenets of appreciative inquiry is that the words we use creates our reality. If
Yes.
my girls have heard that once, they've heard it 1,000 times. Growing up, I'm like, the words you use creates your reality. What is the reality that you want, and how can you be selective in the words that you choose? And it's a simple thing. I would tell them all the time, like, you need to get in the mirror and say, oh my gosh, I just look so beautiful today. Look at my hair. It's perfect. My skin is glowing. I said, use those words to shift your thinking. And again, I'm oversimplifying it, but I love appreciative inquiry, because another tenet of appreciative inquiry is the questions you ask really transforms the conversations that you're having by virtue of the questions. So all of this, I think, is super, super helpful, not at the level of somatic healing, but it starts the transmuting process, right? The shifting.
It does. And I love what you said about, with the affirmations in the mirror. That's something that I do myself personally. Like, I've struggled in the past with confidence, self-esteem, just being a Black woman in a predominantly white area and like neighborhood growing up there, and like going to all white schools and things like that. So like I always felt like I was just ugly, which now I can honestly laugh at that, and just like I can appreciate for, myself for who I am, what I look like, and like everything about me, like I love and accept.
Because you're
And
so gorgeous.
thank you. It's crazy though, right? Like,
Right.
I struggled with that. So like it's hard, right? For women to love and accept their bodies. And I had to work on this, and I use somatic work to make this shift to like, look at different parts of my body, or, parts of myself that I just was rejecting and like really resisting,
Right.
And the other part to that too is with affirmations. I've done them, and I've also done them with my girls. Can you hear me?
Yes.
That kind of cut out. Okay, yes. I have a 4-year-old, a 2-year-old. They're both girls, and I have a newborn. He is 2 or 3 months old now. I don't know. We're floating in that in
It's
between.
pandemic.
Yes. But we do affirmations too. And I know sometimes, like, for example, you said, I'm beautiful, right? At one point in time, I didn't believe that. So like, to me, to look in the mirror and say like, I'm beautiful. Like, there was this disconnect between my body and my head, right? My brain was telling me that I was beautiful, but I didn't feel beautiful, right? So there's this disconnect. So somatic healing and somatic modalities can bridge that gap between your brain and your body. And you
Mm-hmm.
can make them be on the same page.
Mm-hmm.
And really, it's all about the feeling, right? When you feel good, you know you look good,
Mm-hmm.
right? You feel confident, you walk different, right? Like you just, it. And when you're happy, right, you're more motivated, right? When you feel good, you do more. When you feel sick or off, like you don't do much,
Right.
right? And there's power in really getting that feeling. This is also a manifestation hack. I don't know if you're big into that. Like, I'm a firm believer, you are a co-creator of your life.
Mm-hmm.
You have the power to co-create and really live the life that you want to live. Fully believe that.
Mm-hmm.
And with that manifestation hack, right? You take that feeling that you want to feel, that feeling that you would feel if X, Y, and Z happened, right? And I say if, but really it's when, right? So you have that feeling of like, okay, I just had this empowered birth, right? I know that I feel proud. I feel confident. I feel feel just love. I just feel like I'm just vibrating so high, right? I have the chills talking about this because I had this experience too, right? Like, how you want to feel
Mm-hmm.
proud, all this stuff. So you think about the future
Mm-hmm.
of the event happening. Then you take that feeling, bring yourself back into this present moment, and like feel how you're feeling when it happens. And then that is how you bring your vibration up higher. And that's how
Mm-hmm.
you draw higher vibrating things to yourself. So it's like this beautiful, like just feeling. And you
Mm-hmm.
tap into that through somatic work.
Mm-hmm.
Love it.
Yeah, I love that. It's so funny. It's some things that I've read or I've practiced or I've seen in life that I've incorporated but didn't know what it was called. I do a fair amount of public speaking, and I remember I've always loved it, being in front of the public. The larger the group, the better. Give me 1,000 people, give me 5,000 people. I don't care. I really love it. But I remember that I would always visualize the end. I'll tell you a funny story. I was going to present something that was I was really passionate about to a group of leaders. It was about 250 leaders. And I was having a conversation with my daughter on the way to the event. And I said, this is what I want to see happen. I want to make people laugh. I want to make them cry. I said, and I want a standing ovation. And she's like, I think that can happen, Monty. I think that'll be great. And just said it, and I laughed, and we both laughed, and that was it. And tell me why everything that we talked about that morning, and it was a topic that I'm super passionate about. People were in tears, people laughed uproariously, and there was this amazing standing ovation at the end. It's like, oh, okay, okay, I see how this can happen, but did I know that it was a manifestation hack? I think that's a really great way of approaching that because as I said it, and we laughed and it felt really great. I'm like, yes, it's going to be great because they're going to laugh, they're going to cry, and they're going to love everything. And I entered into that space with that energy of thinking, this is exactly what's going to happen. Yeah, and it did.
The testament to your power, woman. I swear. I love it. I love it. I'm all for it. I really am. It's crazy. Like, it's not crazy. It's beautiful and it's wild what happens when you're open to the possibilities,
Mm-hmm.
when you could see possibilities out there that are within reach.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they don't feel like they're within reach yet, but like, that they're out there. And being open to possibility is the key to shifting and making new realities for yourself.
I love that. So, Domiana, how do we normalize somatic healing? How do we normalize this, especially for women who look like us, Black women who really, really need this and who have this amazing amount of power, but maybe have been socialized to the medical model and medication and couch time. And I want to normalize couch time, so don't think I'm saying that negatively. But how do we normalize this as a treatment modality?
Yeah, I think approaching it from a science-based perspective and point of view, showing the science behind things. There's so many studies that show that women with anxiety, their anxiety was lessened and alleviated through EFT, which is emotional freedom techniques, which is where you're just tapping on different meridian points in your body while you're speaking, like a combination of talk therapy and like acupressure, acupuncture, because you're, have these different meridian channels and you're repeating after the practitioner. And it's a really beautiful way to release, like I said, transmute those heavy emotions that you have been weighing on you that you may not have even like realized, to get that out of your body, because it's living in your body, it's manifesting something, it's drawing in something, right? This energy, this frequency. If you want to go on the frequency level of science, you can go on the neuroscientific level, but getting that scientific proof and backing behind these somatic modalities, and it's out there. It's just a matter of kind of compiling it and really emphasizing that, because it's real stuff. Yes, you can get spiritual. Yes, you can get, like healer kind of gets like a, woo-woo kind of reputation and stuff too. But really it's somatic experiencing, scientifically backed, scientifically proven modalities to alleviate stress and anxiety and to modify your trauma-related stress response. Ultimately is what somatic healing and somatic modalities, that's what it does.
I was talking to our last, sorry, go ahead.
So creating those new neural pathways too. Science.
Yeah. I was speaking to our last, during our last event with a counselor. She's a PhD prepared counselor. We were having this conversation. And I mentioned the book, The Body Keeps Score, and our ACE scores and things like that. And we know that stress lives in our body. And even if we're not able to articulate it, our body is saying it, it's like, it's in here, it's in here. You may not want to deal with me, but I'm gonna show up in a different way. And again, as I
until you listen, right? Until you
right,
listen.
right. And when I think about that, because all of us, I remember looking at this one video about adverse childhood experiences, and the speaker was saying that he was speaking at a healthcare symposium, and it was primarily nurses, physicians, dietitian, all healthcare, and had them do the ACE survey, and all of their scores were like way, way high, and how surprised he was with the scores. But I thought that is really fascinating, because to me it makes sense that if I've been traumatized, that I want to be part of the solution. So I go into a profession where I can be part of the solution without even addressing my own trauma. But he was just saying that until we really have that conversation with ourselves and really look at our childhood experiences, and our lived experiences that we all have, and address that we can't really manifest and be the people that we truly want to be. And I feel like that is a big portion of our reality as Black people. And I love what you said about it being science. I feel like we need to, I don't know, put it on a bigger screen and say, look,
Yeah,
y'all, let's start here. Let's start with this, you
it's a
know?
really great place to start it with. And I know I'm more holistic anyway, so I didn't want to, when I hit a funk early postpartum with my first as a first time mom, like I hit a really big funk where I was like, I don't know who this person is anymore, right? Like, I don't know who I am. I don't recognize myself in the mirror. I'm grumpy. I'm not pleasant to be around. Like, I hit a funk, and I knew I didn't want to resort to medication or anything like that. I knew that there had to be another way to make me feel better, right? More like myself. And in that, like, I pulled on, stuff from my professional basketball career, like just that, like mental toughness type of
Right.
stuff, that mentality, along with my formal education, right? Like my bachelor's degrees, my master's, like all of these different things that I've learned formally. And then also with this new holistic stuff that I got into with like yoga once I transitioned from basketball into different career. Um, but I realized too, like the stuff kind of lived within me already to pull
Mhm,
myself out and up. But I
mhm,
finally had like the language to articulate what I was doing, kind of like you said with manifesting, right? Like, oh, I
mhm,
guess that's what I was doing, type of
mhm,
thing.
mhm,
Um, and I just want everybody to just experience this, right? This is just like something that I don't think needs to be hidden. I don't think it needs to be I just think it needs to be out in the world. Just I'm gonna put it out there to whoever and anybody who needs it and who wants to experience this. I would love to share with you and to show you
mhm,
and take you through some
mhm,
EFT or different somatic modalities to help alleviate whatever is weighing on you or whatever you want to uncover. Because there's
mhm.
stuff in there. Everybody has stuff. Everybody has their something. And I know that I'm still working on stuff too.
Of course.
I'm never gonna arrive to the place,
Right.
right? I'm never gonna be
It's a
fully
journey.
100% healed.
Mhm,
It's just as long as you have the tools to cope and the tools to bounce back fast and create this
mhm,
resilience versus this
mhm,
like big variance between the highs and the lows,
mhm.
which is a lot of energy to pull yourself up from a very big low. But
Right.
if you just kind of stay up in here,
Mhm.
that's where I want you at. And that's where I try to stay most of the time.
Yeah. Yeah, I love your comment, Marie. I do think it can work in tandem, but I'll have to tell you, as a healthcare professional, still working in a hospital, um, I have probably in the past 10 years, I have yet to see a provider say, you know what, I think you would definitely benefit from somatic healing. I think you would definitely benefit from, I don't know, cranial sacral uh,
Yeah.
intervention. I
Oh my
never
goodness.
I
You would
never
benefit from it, yes.
I never hear that. I do think it can work in tandem. That's why I feel like the message needs to be to all women, but to Black women,
Yeah.
since that's our targeted audience, to say, you start this conversation. I feel now, Marie, I feel like we should have like a conference. We should have like a Black Women Health Symposium and have all of these great speakers and just start a move, start a movement. It's probably happening somewhere, but that's what I feel like I want to do right now.
I'm down. Integrative health symposium. Yes. Because that's
Yeah.
really what it is. It's this holistic approach to health. It's this whole integrative, right? Like, I'm not saying that one's better than the other. I'm saying that all of them can benefit you in different ways. And it's figuring out what you need and what you desire, what you want, and then finding that and going out there and seeking that resource for yourself. Because there's benefits, right? I know people who are on medication and they greatly benefit from it, and that's what they choose, that's what they want. They're happy with that choice. That's an empowered choice. I'm all for empowerment, right? If that's what you want, go get it, right? You're not hurting nobody, do it.
Right.
If you want something different that's not medication, okay, it's out there. You might have to search a little bit harder for it, but it's out there too. It is.
You're muted, Marie.
Turn the camera on that one to join the conversation. You guys have got me so excited. First, I agree wholeheartedly, Domiana, in terms of, and I want to steal something that Dr. Parker from our phase one said about the buffet, that your healthcare, treat it like a buffet. And just like when you go to a buffet, you read the little card to see what dish it is, right? Particularly if it's a cuisine that you're not familiar with. Well, do a teeny bit of research around the care models that are out there. And I agree, Rose, that your general practitioner may not say that this is out there, right? So doing a little bit of work, making some understanding, because until my friend told me about Domiana, I had never understood this practice. But superficially, that's not probably the right word. I had done parts of it because my godfather was a Buddhist, a Buddhist master. And I learned, and my father was a Church of God in Christ bishop. So I had the best of both worlds. And that's why I think I'm so open to understanding different practices and how at different times in your life, one can be more, may resonate more so than the other, right? And so I'm excited about exposing people to that awareness because, and I was going to put in the chat my question then, now that I've taken over, my question for Domiana is, I try to do the visualization, and Rose knows she has to talk me off the ledge at least once every 2 weeks because there's that part of me. And despite, growing up, understanding the tenets of Buddhism and that, you have that outside, that experience, I still have that little niggling voice that says, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen because this, and this, those practical things, right? So I'd love to hear your thoughts on how do you quiet that voice? And then the other piece around clinical care that are the standard sort of Western models is I'm a big proponent for telling them because sometimes they may not know either, and just very recently, I was telling a very dear friend who is a physician and going through some experiences of her own that she needed. I made the prescription for her to reach out to Domiana because she's trying to deal with it based on the logic or the science of Western medicine. And I think what she's experiencing is something that needs a bigger, more hybrid approach or holistic. Yes. So question, Domiana, how do we quiet those voices?
Yes, you might hear the prayer in a symbol going on right now. It's the time to pray, which I've grown to appreciate. First, I was like, this is annoying, but it's like, okay, my reminder to pause, right? Like, okay, we can just breathe for a second. But anyways, to answer your question about how do you quiet those voices when you're trying to visualize, when you're trying to, figure out what you want and your goals, and you go after those things and you have this like doubt in the back of your head, right? that is a really beautiful invitation to explore that, right? Don't quiet that. Don't just like stuff it down and try and ignore it, right? Because that's again putting a little, like the little floaty, you push it down in the water and it pops back up, right? You stuff it down and it's going to come back with a vengeance. So you can't just ignore those doubts. You have to explore them and get curious. Like, why do you have this doubt? Why do you think X, Y, and Z won't happen? What is it from your past experience is giving, is there evidence that this won't happen? What happened in the past that you're pulling from this experience? You're relating it to something that happened before. Maybe you have a track record for this happening. There's something else there. So getting curious with that. And that's where like tapping comes into play too, because you can shut down your body, shut down your nervous system so that your subconscious can actually like speak and like come through, right? Because if you're in a headspace, very logical, overthinker, maybe you're a more anxious type of person, which like I'm speaking to myself, and I'm sure all the other women on here too. But to be able to shut off that part of your brain so that your subconscious can come through using the somatic modalities can really help that. And you'll just realize, like, it'll just kind of like pull out of you, like, oh, that's why I think that I won't have a good business, because when I was in 5th grade, my lemonade stand didn't make any money. Like something,
Right.
You're like an aha moment, a light bulb comes, like, just pops off or turns on, So really being able to get curious with those doubts and those fears or whatever insecurities are coming through. And if you are trying to meditate, meditation's not forever. I mean, it is for everybody. I'm a firm believer it's for everybody. It might come to other people more easily than others. You might have to work a little bit harder to focus, to not like quiet your mind, because I think that's a misconception when you meditate, to like everything just shuts off. That's not true. You still have thoughts coming in. When I meditate, thoughts, they're running in there. They're in and out, but it's being able to just like breathe them away, like push that thought out of here, right? Maybe it's so much as just focusing on your breath, and you just notice a thought. Okay, that's a thought. Back to my breath, right? Just being able to pause. And you'll notice as you practice this more and more, it's easier to quiet and kind of pause. It's easier to be still. It's easier to get rid of all of the outside chatter. And it's easier to just to drop in. Like when I do the drop in that I did for you in the beginning, like I was totally like out of this world. And that was like a few minutes. And as you practice and like flex this muscle, you'll be able to kind of come in and out of that more easily. And sometimes you need help with that in the beginning. So guided meditation is huge. I also recommend tapping and doing different breath work, because that will help you focus versus just like sitting in quiet and just having everything around you, like going a mile a minute. Like also brain dumping before you meditate, before you want to take your pause is huge. Write down everything that's on your mind that you got to get done after this, that you don't want to forget, things that, whatever, that would occupy your mind. Put it on paper so that way you can pick up that piece of paper when you're done, and then you can like, okay, we move on, but you're not worried about all the stuff that you might forget that you need to get done, that you have to do when you're meditating in that moment.
And so
kind of answering a couple different questions there, but
oh, that was great.
I just love this stuff, as you can tell. I'm sure you get it. Yeah. When you're passionate about something, it's like,
yeah, no, I love it. I've always loved a holistic approach to health, always. And again, even though I do work in Western medicine, I've always had questions about, I feel like there's a better way. I think we can do things differently. So I think it's incredibly empowering to know that our bodies are always evolving, and there is power in our bodies to recreate, I think was the word that you use, and to focus on healing, and to focus on, and even before we focus on healing, focus on what's really happening in your body, maybe get centered and understand that. I've always been a huge fan of that. I think it's great. Whenever I hear about something new, I'm like, really? I didn't know that. So I go to Google. I'm like, let me learn more about that. I have that
For sure.
curiosity, I guess, about things.
Yeah, and I know there's many instances too where like you've known something to be true, but then like you said, you might read an article, you're like, oh yeah, I knew that, but now like I really know, or like, oh, now there's evidence behind why I believed a certain thing, because that's because your body's wise. You are wise. You're full of wisdom and power, and it's within you. And I know that that's also why you're in this field too, because like you said, you might believe and question Western medicine and the system, right? But in order to shake and disrupt and make the change, you got to be able to understand what is actually happening first and foremost. And you're experiencing it, living it, and you are observing and you're seeing all the different gaps that need to be bridged, all the different, nuances, improvements, things that are working, things that are not working. Like you are witnessing that and experiencing that firsthand. And that's how you can make the change. And you are making the change. Like,
hey, I love it. So as we get ready to wrap up, thank you so much for having this conversation with us. And yeah, Maria and I, we're going to be putting on a conference, and it's going to be like so fabulous. And we're going to have it either we're going to have it in Arizona, like in October. That would be nice. Arizona in October, or we're going to have it like in the spring in Atlanta. That would be a nice time also. This is where Maria and I live, so one of those places.
Oh, you're in Atlanta? Okay. I'm in Arizona, but in Istanbul right now. But I will definitely come back from overseas to come to the event.
Yeah, it would be so great. And I know
it is great.
My partner is really great at getting sponsors and things like that. So we're going to make this happen. But before I go into my manifesting something for the near future, is there anything that I didn't ask you that you really want folks to hear from you? Anything about somatic healing that?
I just want to let you know that it's okay to trust yourself. I know that past experiences, you've been conditioned to listen to other people, value other people's opinions and perceptions of you more than your own. I know that it's hard to trust yourself sometimes, but it's okay to trust yourself. You can follow that internal compass. You can let your intuition guide you. It's okay because it does not steer you wrong when you actually choose to hear it, listen to it, and trust it. And those are three different things, right? You can hear your intuition, right? You know that it's speaking to your body, speaking to you, right? You hear it, but then to actually listen to it, taking in what your body is telling you and doing it, right? And then trusting it, where it's actually, okay, you do it. And then also, that this is the thing for you, right? Versus doing it and then kind of doubting, right? Those doubts creeping in, but trusting. And it's within you. Okay. I want you to tap into your potential. I want you to turn that potential into capacity. You are more capable than you know. You're more powerful than beyond belief. You really are. And you were made for this. That is undeniable.
Yay. I love it. So we need to hear, we need to listen, and we need to trust because we have unlimited power. That is so, so great. Well, thank you so much for your time. Does anyone have any? I didn't see any questions in the chat or the Q&A. Marie, did you see something that maybe I missed? I don't know. I don't see anything. I want to make sure that we honor the folks that are here with us today.
Definitely. If you want to get in touch or if you want to explore what somatic healing can do for you, you can definitely reach out. You can go to kdomiana.com/schedule. Just kdomiana.com/schedule. We can talk about all the things. If you want to join my healing community, that is also available to you too. kdomiana.com/healing community. We'd love to have you. And if you want to reach out on Instagram, kdomiana, just connect. I'm here as a resource.
I love it. That sounds great. Thank you for your generosity. Marie, any final words for the people?
I was just going to ask that we let the audience know how to reach Domiana, because, and then I would stress that, yes, she's in Istanbul, but the magic that she produces is wonderful virtually. I am a member of her community, and we've had our sessions virtually. And anyone that knows me knows that I need a lot, and it actually works. And I do have to say, just very quickly, Domiana, I'm with my grandchildren this week, right? And my grandson, they're 30 months, and my daughter and her husband have taught the kids how to say their feelings. And so he will say, I am very, very sad. And it may be because he's lost Elmo, or maybe mommy and daddy went to work. So we were leaving his little play group, and he said, I am very, very angry. And I said, why? But I knew why he didn't want to leave. So we did the rubbing the hands together. So I had him do his little hands and breathe. And he just kept doing it in his stroller, and he kept doing it. And I could just see his little body start to calm down. He was so good. And it's the simple things. And you think if a 30-month-old can do it, those of us are 30 times 30 can definitely do it. He didn't understand. It was just a game, but just being able to pull himself and find another way to redirect his energy. So I would encourage everyone to reach out to Domiana and learn what will work for you and or your children, because sometimes our anxiety is because we don't know how to create a better world for them. So thank you both for this wonderful chat, and we will make the recording available on our website as well as our social media, because I know I did get some feedback from, I had mentioned to Domiana that a lot of our audience tend to be clinicians, and I did get a lot of feedback from our standard group that we're dealing with vacations for the holiday, going into Memorial Day here in the US, vacations for graduations. So many of the universities had graduations over the weekend. So our usual audience that are very, very loyal, they were like, I'm either working, traveling, or covering staff for other people, that sort of thing. So they all want the recording. So we will share it with them. And I hope people will take advantage of the fact that they can access your support virtually, regardless of where you are in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Appreciate
Definitely.
that.
Thank you. Thank you for that, Marie. Well, thank you, Domiana, for the time. Thank you for the conversation. Thank you for the wisdom. Thank you for your grace. It's been lovely, lovely chatting with you. And we will be in touch about a conference. So it's going to happen. Yes, it is happening. Thank you, Marie, for getting everything situated. Thank you for those of you who could join us for the live and enjoy the recording, because it's going to be just as good. And we'll see you next time. Thanks, everyone.
Yes. Good night, everyone.